All right, hello everyone. Welcome to our first official lesson on the study of psychology. This is for September 12th, 2017. So here are our objectives and standards for this lesson: to recognize the goals of psychology and to analyze the reasons to study psychology. And if you would take a look at the standards too. And here is the vocabulary preview. We'll be going over these words a little more in depth in the lesson, but just to give you a preview of them. Physiological is relating to an organism's physical processes. Cognitive is relating to an organism's thinking and understanding. Psychology is the scientific study of behavior that is tested by scientific research. Hypothesis is an assumption or prediction about behavior that is tested through research. Theory are assumptions used to explain a phenomena. Basic science is gaining knowledge about a natural phenomena for its own purpose. Applied science is discovering the ways to use scientific findings to accomplish goals. And the scientific method is a way to gather information and answers to limit errors and bias. So some of you already told me in your getting to know you surveys why you want to study psychology, which is great. So I'm just asking you to either tell me a little more about that, or if you haven't explained why you're taking this class for your own purposes, if you could just do that in the think about this section of the recorded lesson here and in the question section. And then our central question today: why do we study psychology? What is the reasoning for studying psychology? Okay, so reasons for psychology. So psychology can do a couple of things. Psychology can give people insight into behavior. For example, if you have a friend who stays up all night playing video games or computer games, or anybody you know who may do that, and then they're sleeping a lot during the day. And he's sleeping a lot during the day. He or she is sleeping a lot during the day. Um, maybe their grades start to slip a little bit, or they become moody, or a little anxious with you. Well, that could be signs of a person ignoring some psychological signs that maybe they should be paying attention to. Psychology can also help with physiological and cognitive needs. Physiological being, if I'm staying up all night playing video games, my body is craving sleep, and my body, I'm sleeping during the day and I'm tired, or I get frustrated easily. One sign of that could be, that's a physiological sign. And my cognitive needs, maybe I can't focus what I'm doing because I'm staying up late at night playing games or watching movies or whatever. My brain may not focus on what I'm supposed to be focusing on. So that would be a more cognitive matter. Psychology can also help us learn practical information about ourselves. Hopefully, one of the ways this course will do is will help you learn why you think and feel certain ways, and why other people you may know think and feel certain ways. So these are some of the reasons for psychology. So just a little bit of a brief introduction. Psychology is the scientific study of mental and biological processes. Mental being, things we can't necessarily see. Biological, we can sometimes see those things. Like, for example, when we talk about lifespan development, children and becoming teenagers and adults and becoming older, we can see those changes. We can't always necessarily see mental changes in people all the time. And then it can also help with what and how people and animals think, act, and do. So, in terms of psychology, psychologists have four goals when conducting scientific research. The first is description. And what that is a scientist or psychologist will seek to describe or gather information about the behavior that is being studied at that time. So, example, let's go back to the person who stays up all night playing video games or watching TV. The scientist will, want to gather information about, what times are they sleeping during the day? What's the reason for staying up and playing video games or watching TV all the time? They'll want to get some background information basically about that behavior. And then step two would be explanation. Psychologists will propose a hypothesis or a guess about a possible reason for behavior. Maybe the person, just enjoys playing video games all the time, and that's the best time that's when they have the most free time to play it, or maybe there's a deeper reasoning for why they're playing video games all the time and sleeping during the day. And again, there can be multiple explanations for this that can result in a theory then. Step 3 would be prediction. Psychologists will then use the knowledge they have gained to predict what living organisms such as humans will think or feel in different scenarios. So they'll take the person who is playing video games all the time or staying up late for whatever reason, and they'll apply that to other people and say, well, if this person is doing it for this reason, then maybe other people are doing it for that reason, and they'll try to apply it to other situations and scenarios. And then the last thing is the other goal is 4. Some psychologists may seek to influence the behavior in a positive way. They hope to find out more about the animal or human behavior through basic or applied science. So again, they'll try to maybe help that person or living thing. They may tell the person to, maybe only play video games for 5 hours a day instead of 10 hours a day. Maybe tell the person, at 10 o'clock at night I want you to turn off your gaming system or your computer, and I want you to shut it down, and then go to sleep. Don't stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, on it, staring at it. They may try to, and they'll try to explain to them that this will benefit them and how to help them. So the science of psychology. So I'm sure many of you have probably heard the scientific method before, but psychologists also rely on the scientific method to help collect data. This means they identify a problem or a question, they form a hypothesis or a guess about what they think may happen, they collect data through observations and experiments, and then they analyze the data. Just like chemists, just like other scientists, biologists, whatever, this is the same type of method that they use. And the scientific process of psychology, goes back many years, and it's changed over time as well. So Wundt and psychology. So the first psychological lab is credited to William Wundt, or Wundt, I guess if it's in German. It was set up in Leipzig, Germany in 1879. And what Wundt does is he proposed that psychological experience is made up of compounds like chemistry. So, just like we have different things that make up different things in chemistry, that's what Wundt is suggesting, is that our psychological experiences are made up of compounds as well. He also stated that psychology has 2 kinds of elements, sensations and feelings. So Wundt is one of the first psychological people to establish a lab and is credited with that. Here's a picture of him here. So Wundt attempted to test his statements, and his methods were not really reliable, meaning like trustworthy, and they were somewhat cumbersome. What cumbersome means is just a pain in the neck. They were a hassle to use, a hassle to get through, just a pain sometimes to use his methods. However, the one thing that psychologists can take away from his method is that called introspection. And introspection is going to help lead to the scientific method that psychologists will use to this day. And new theories and practices are also being introduced in the present as well. All right, so we will wrap up here. So there are different reasons for studying psychology, again, to understand why we think and act the way we do, help explain certain behaviors, help explain our physiological reactions and our biological reactions. And psychologists also have many goals. We went over the 4 steps of those goals, and they use the scientific method to achieve their goals. All right? All right, guys, so that's all I have for this lesson. So please make sure that you complete the questions that follow this, and I will see and talk to you soon. Take care.